Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
Yo, dog, Kenny Boucher here, The Long War. And tonight I'm joined by my partner in crime and special guest, Wyatt Turk and Steven Corrales from XPZ. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
What's going on, everyone?
It's nice to have you on the show again, Steven. I know we got some awesome topics to talk about tonight. Our boy Rob is not here. Doesn't he have a stupid joke about returning videotapes or something? Whatever.
Yeah, he had to go to the last existing Blockbuster in Utah.
And he doesn't fly, as you all know, so he had to drive. But also one of his secret passions on the side is he likes to memorize road atlases and shit.
Yeah.
So that's a fact. So that's what he's doing right now. We have a cool segment tonight. Steven actually has a XBZ PSA based on all the cool shit that's happened this weekend and some words of wisdom, which I can't wait to get into. We're going to talk about Lone Star. We're going to talk about Palm Springs and how this meta is shaking out. But first and foremost, with our special guest here to participate, we'll roll out to Wyatt's Cave of Wonders and touch nothing but the lamp.
Ooh. All right, I got one. It's a little different format this time around. So these two companies are going to war. And to survive, you have to ally with one of them. So would you rather fight for Disney or Lego?
These are two different. These are two different companies. I thought they were the same company.
Yeah, different companies.
Is Lego owned by a larger company like Mattel?
Maybe, but for the state of for this hypothetical, they're their own thing.
I'm allowed to Google anything about them first, or do I have to just go from what I think I know?
Do you think you know? I mean, this is like a real war. They're developing weapons. There's R&D departments.
Oh, weapons are going to be involved?
Yep. Employees are soldiers. Their locations are their bases.
Oh,
dude,
shit.
Why do I get the image of the Roger Rabbit Toons fighting back, against...
Yeah, Disney is making sentient Toon guns.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. It's not like going online and doing a meme war. We're talking legit boots on the ground. Am I a foot soldier in this war, or am I a little higher up in the chain?
I mean, there's promotional opportunities.
Well, first off, if we're going to be real here, there's two things you got to ask, right? One, ethically, which side am I going to fight for based on my beliefs, right? Because we fight for our beliefs. The other one, you're not trying to fight for the losing side either. So, who is the superior, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think about Disney, and I'm like, Disney's got Snow White, and we've got, we got dwarves, we've got stuff like that. And then I look at Lego, and I'm like, I've got spaceships, I've got Batman, I've got Jedi. You know what I'm saying?
Budget is probably in Disney's court.
Oh, maybe the reason they're going to war is who controls the Star Wars, because they both control Star Wars.
That's a good theme. I like that.
Ooh, you could fight Jedis. So either side I'm on, I could have to fight Sith or Jedis, no matter what.
One of them is a real human being with a lightsaber. The other one is a 6 foot tall Lego action figure. Yeah.
Disney probably has the massive advantage in technology, infrastructure, physical infrastructure laid out throughout the country too. When you think about physical, strongholds, if everything's going to war, right? They probably have the insanity advantage on that front. All right. But it's the same. And the thing is, I don't ethically, I don't give a shit about anything Disney's doing. Right. So with all what's in the news, except you go far back enough in time, there is that one little thing where Walt Disney might be a Nazi. Right.
Well, see, you're going way deep into this.
So
I was thinking,
I would be concerned that part of this would be a secret Nazi moon base scenario, and I would accidentally be fighting on the wrong side because you're sitting in the trenches and you're like, are we the bad guys? As you got all these skulls and shit all over your gear.
Yeah, that's wild. See, that was when I was talking ethically, I'm like, well, what is Disney fighting for, and what are they trying to achieve?
They're both fighting for money. That's at least publicly, they're both fighting for money.
It's who controls Star Wars. We've established this.
Okay, so we're fighting over
who gets to make all the Star Wars toys.
Well, what's the hidden agenda, right? Because if it's just straight up, who gets to make the Star Wars toys, and like bloodshed is happening, I'm gonna go with the squad that has the clear advantage. Disney.
Do they have the advantage?
I think if we just Googled like how much physical real estate and like that it could be converted to a stronghold, like forts and bases and logistical
or real estate and then just capital.
Like in capital, I don't know. Lego probably has mad capital too, but like, do they have like
not Disney capital?
Not Disney capital, and do they have like the same ability to mobilize on two different fronts, like east and west? Like,
I mean, build anything, man.
They can out of Legos, dog.
So how realistic are we talking? Like, am I talking in the hypothetical war here? Am I fighting in our present time right now for a corporate entity, irrespective of the content they create in the fantasy land they have? Like, I'm going to fight for the corporate beast, and I'm picking which one?
Yeah.
Or are we talking like the true universes that exist within them fictionally? Like, am I fighting alongside Legos and spaceships and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean it's cartoonish in its proportions.
Oh, it's not real life. Fighting. You mean there might actually? You mean like there might actually be Jedis and shit?
Oh, yeah.
And like I could be fighting the Beast himself, or I could be fighting a teapot, like right against them or with them or whatever. Yeah, okay. So that's what I thought the initial was. If this was real life war, I'm going Disney probably, just based on revenue and real estate. But I think in the fantasy world, dude, I think that I'm in league with Lego.
Yeah, no, I join up with Lego because if we're going fantasy world and we're to take like what Lego does as canon, like they can like literally make like they can like actually create life. Like they can, like, you know what I'm saying? They like got they got like true ultimate power.
You know what, dude? The more I think about this, the more I'm actually going to retract that. I'm going Disney because I'm like thinking about this. And I'm like, okay, I could be fighting this war and I could just have 3 wishes. You know what I'm saying? And I could have a flying carpet. I could be on a pirate ship. I think that there's got to be more tactical versatility in Disney.
I like that you're going into the Cave of Wonders via the Cave of Wonders.
Disney would in fact have the Cave of Wonders.
Yeah. You could actually cause what I think Doctor Who would call what is it when you create a paradox?
Yeah.
Whoa, he went into an infinite hole that was inside an infinite hole. Whoa. Yeah, I'm going Disney.
Yeah, I'll go with Lego because if it's fantasy Lego, I have a feeling like that Lego's power scales above Disney's with Lego magic. Because I feel like it's like literally infinite canon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of creating there. I mean, technically, I think Lego's thing is that you can build anything.
Literally, like you can build a human, dog. You can make a Batman, and it's actually Batman.
Yeah. I like Recoil's statement where he's like, "Do you really want to step on a Lego landmine?"
Oh man. Or I mean, they could even go so far as to create certain battlefields that you would have to fight on, and I mean, then I would have to just walk on Legos.
Bro, I'll just make a quick Doctor Who real quick. I'll be like, Doctor Who, Time Lord that fucking bullshit out of there.
But then again, though, I mean, I could walk on Legos, or I could get on my magic carpet and not interact with those Legos.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a Doctor Who to like fight your genie. Like, it's gonna be ridiculous. No, it's crazy. That's a good one, Wyatt.
Yeah.
I was envisioning like physically boots on the ground, like rifles in our hands.
I just really like the
going
idea
street
of,
to
like,
street, like fucking sweeping.
Two friends like going at this. It's like, well, they have like the Justice League, and it's like, well, yeah, but we have the Lego version of the Justice League.
Yeah, they're indestructible and fucking immortal. Like you can blow the Legos apart, sure, if you can get through Green Lantern's bullshit, and then we can just like Lego up another one. Lego OP, dude. Good one, Wyatt. I was thinking like Terminator 2 Judgment Day scenario, but this makes more sense. So let's kick it over to back to Wyatt, actually. Let's cover our 2 conventions that we discussed earlier.
Let me walk over to the Rob Baer Memorial News Desk.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a stack of papers you printed off, or that you pretend has stuff on it that you like shuffle around on the desk?
I can like rustle some paper, like get things in order. Yeah, so 2 big majors over the past weekend: Lone Star Open and Palm Springs Open. Lone Star was, I think, a little over 200 people. double check. Yeah. And then Lone Star was like 120, 150, something like that.
Palm Springs was 120.
There you go. So two big majors, like first two big majors of 10th, I think. Some interesting results. Got a shout out to Team USA member Ben Jurek winning Lone Star Open with his Aldari list. He's been hitting up a bunch of events, just cleaning shop. The final game between him and Russell Tassin, who's a friend of the show, with his Black Legion was a real nail biter to see what was going on. So it was really cool to see that other factions can hold up to the unstoppable Juggernaut.
That was really fucking awesome. You know, Russell, he's been on the show back when you guys were both in the race.
Yeah.
If viewers don't remember that, when you guys were both competing for best chaos player. And so it's crazy to see him back out scheming his ass off and bringing the heat with some new counters.
His army is very interesting. Like, I've seen the adaptation to Eldari be like playing the mission really efficiently, being really smart, really cagey with your secondaries and that kind of thing, because you like offensively, it's just really hard to like one-on-one fight them. Like, it's not a fair fight. So you have to do things like shift to a more like, I'm going to place a unit that's going to do a thing. It might die, but then I've got like 7 more behind it that are going to do the same thing. There was a number of Gene Stealer Cult players placed in the top 10. There was Astra Militarum up there too. Astra Militarum's in a pretty good spot. Imperial Knights up in there. There's actually more GSC in the top 10 than anything else. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 4 of the top 10 were GSC. And then you have your, normal guys like Eldari, Imperial Knights, and then Russell with Black Legion. Really interesting. And a lot of stuff in the top 20 that is kind of surprising. Like, we saw World Eaters, Red Pal.
Yeah, Red with World Eaters.
Went 5-1 with like 40 World Eaters.
40 berserkers, yeah. Like, as basic as it gets. You know what I'm saying?
Just play into the missions, doing what they do. Really cool. And then with Palm Springs, we had a huge showing with XPZ going to Palm Springs. Most of the top 10 was Palm Springs. It was XPZ, which was really cool to see. Our guy Joel Wilson taking it down, winning the top spot with Tyranids, of all things. And then second place was Alex Spatho, also undefeated with his Eldari. So it was like, who's going to win? Right? It was literally just like a tiebreaker of points of who was going to win. So it was really cool for the team.
One other interesting thing to point out there too is that Joel's showdown matchup was against Admech, who everyone has said is unplayable.
One of our guys who was like crushing tournaments with Admech with 5-1.
But I mean, I think that's testament to the fact that stuff can play, and we're tip of the iceberg and stuff. But anyways, that was my interruption. I just Admech in the top, but vying for tournament win. Who would have thought? It's crazy.
Yeah, we're also seeing GSC there. The other XPZ Wyatt playing GSC, getting top 10. Chaos Space Marines making a showing again. Blood Angels in the top 10, as well as Chaos Demons. So it was actually kind of a fair spread. I mean, there was Eldari there for sure, but pretty good spread of factions. And Joel's list is really interesting because it's another one of those instances where like Eldari is this like Leviathan that you just can't deal with, supposedly. But if all the Eldari players are more or less taking the same stuff, like everybody's got 3 fire prisms, everybody's got like warp spiders, maybe some what are their indirect tanks, like the web shooters, night spinners, nice spinners, Wraith Knights, War Walkers, like all that kind of. It's more or less the same archetype. So if everybody's doing that, then you kind of have your problem set before you that you can try to solve, because it's like everybody's doing the same thing. And so Joel teching into the gaunt body carpet and being like, you just don't have enough shots to deal with me while I score points, is a great way to look at the meta and immediately counter it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think that. Well, I mean, firsthand, I was there. Joel and I have been playing a bunch of games, like labbing, that type of thing. But I mean, that's a topic I think that's really important, and I think you're spot on when you say, when you have the problem right in front of you, you can be like, okay, you can dissect it, and be like, okay, where's this strong? Where's this weak? What's it achieving? Okay, it's got a really high amount of very high quality shots that are very efficient because of rerolls, and you can even take dice out of the game with fate dice, and you just lose a firefight with them. But right, if you look at the generalized broad strokes, general consensus of the state of the game, how many times have you seen everyone say like melee's terrible, it's unplayable, they changed it, it's dead? So most people, especially if you're in the middle, mid-level, you're not the top end of a tournament playing for whatever, and you're just playing 40k as you know it, and you pay attention to this stuff, you're like, okay, well, melee is unplayable, so I'm bringing guns. All right, what did we say Eldar strength was? It's a firefight.
Then you said that you can't win a firefight with them.
Right, yeah, you can't win a firefight with them, right? So, because if you look at them, and the big reason is, what's their other thing? It's hyper efficiency with undercosted units, right? So you look at a Warwalker is a perfect example. A Warwalker costs like 90 points, somewhere right around there, give or take 5 or 10 or whatever. It's T7, like 9 wounds. It's got a 3-up save. It's got a 4-up invuln natively. It's -1 to wound against ranged attacks. And it has 2 las cannon equivalents that reroll hits and wounds.
Yeah,
1 for 1 if you field 1 for 1 if you're a space marine, right? Look at a space
marine. What doesn't it do?
So 90 points, I can get a land speeder tornado. It has a strength 9 multi-melta with 2 shots that don't get rerolls unless I use my army-wide rule to pick the one 90-point unit by chance they have. And it has I don't even remember if an assault cannon is 6 shots still or 3, but it's a bunch of 1 damage, strength 6. The implications there are that I have 2 shots that hit on a 3, that now wound on a 4, and maybe you don't save, and then maybe I roll enough damage to hurt you in Melta range, and then I've got like 3 1 damage shots behind it, which probably don't do anything because I wound you on 5s, go to 6s. You turn around and shoot me, and I'm equalized. I'm dust. Rinse and repeat that times 15 across an army. Think about it, So that's the strength of Eldar. That's where they beat you. And then I do oath the moment that Warwalker and the stars align, and I put my land speeder there, and it spends 1 CP for Phantasm, and it makes a normal move right behind the ruin. So now my army-wide special rule can't even be used, right? So if you think about Eldar, we had to change the mindset and be like, okay, what are we going to do here? A firefight into Eldar is a losing proposition unless you're also Eldar, and then that even presents some coin flip stuff. And if you're going to win an event, you're looking for consistency, right? Okay, well then you start breaking down ways to mitigate those 2 main things, right? And then you start coming up with things. It's like, okay, do I go bodies? And maybe I do some melee stuff. Maybe I exploit lone op to mitigate some strength. And you start looking at other stuff, and then kind of look at your faction and what you can field and how you can circumvent that problem, which is a very healthy thing for the game. And then you look into that, and then we were spitballing in the garage talking about ideas, and it actually came off of an idea that I had with Accursed Cultists, where I was fielding like Abaddon, Lone Op in the middle, 28 or whatever Accursed Cultists with the commune on either side with all the junk, and I'm like, Bright Lance this,
Yeah.
And then I just saw it all click in Joel's brain. His face went blank, and it was like, oh, what if? And then we just started spitballing it, and the next thing you know, he fielded it, and it was just like, dude, it's working. And then he just kind of dialed it in to have a lot more things to just present, score in different ways and whatnot, and it worked. And that's a good example of scheming in a way where, okay, yeah, you've got the problem in front of you, dissect it, look at your index, and methodically, if you can tear it apart, you can actually think about ways to beat it.
Now he did play test against your boys, like first and second place at this event play tested against each other too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So if you look at that,
who won that fight in play test?
Joel did.
Not the Eldar. Joel did.
So I find that interesting because Joel didn't play any Eldari.
No, he didn't.
And so here's my favorite part about that discovery is that he teched for it, created a superior list because of it, So Eldar existing as a gatekeeper right now led to the creation of a superior list that just raffle stomped all not Eldar too. Right? And then didn't even play Eldar, which is my favorite part of this because I thought you had to play against Eldar like 5 times in a row at every event.
Well, the funny thing is, what happened at the tournament at PSO, there was a lot of Eldar representation, but they destroyed their first round opponents. They destroyed
each other.
Most of their second. They all played each other, and they all died. So then there was like 3 of them at the top, and then I just remember Spatho being like, "Please," because it was like a round robin of 4 undefeateds for the final showdown, and he was like, "I just don't want to play Joel. I just don't want to play Joel. I just don't want to play Joel." And he didn't have to play Joel. He played GSC. But I mean, I think that's also a testament there too, because one of the other important things when you're counter building is just because it works against the big bad, it still has to work into other stuff too. But I think that it's interesting. And I think that a lot of the indexes out there have the ability to deal with that stuff on a normal level. Now, if you talk about the optimal players that are like robots at a level, that we could get into some stuff where faction strength really makes a difference. I mean, if you're putting, whoever big name
Richard
guy,
Siegler.
Yeah, if you're putting Richard Siegler against Brandon Grant or whatever, okay, like that's going to be some perfect level play where faction strength will probably level out. But I mean, I don't believe that I'm at that level, and it's a very small percentage of people that are at that level. And when you're not at that point, presenting unique problems and interesting list builds, off-meta list builds, can actually throw a wrench in a lot of the status quo stuff, which is super cool. And it's not new, right? Like every edition comes out, something like this happens. And it's funny because Knights have been in this position like 3 times now. Right. Like Knights have been this like gatekeeper list that it has occurred multiple times, 3 times in recent history, where due to ease of access, low model count, and general popularity, there are a lot of them because of those factors, right? Mm-hmm. And so you start seeing a lot of them. And there are periods of time where when you're list scheming in the Beats Lab, you're asking yourself, can I take a knight down on 1 turn? That's like part of your list design. You're like looking and you're like, no, I can't. Got to make that change. So gatekeepers existing make you better at the game, right? Because if they're all doing this, if they're all guarding the same gate, and you're storming that gate from different angles every time, they're the ones who get knocked down. Right. Well, yeah, it's huge. Well, and also the thing is, you are going into it with all of the faction strength advantage, but you are also going into it with the disadvantage of everything you do, how your army plays, what it's trying to achieve. Your battle plan is not a secret to anybody. So, some people just run head down into it and be like, hey, man, I mean, if I pair into that, I'm going to lose anyways.
But having said that, not all factions are created equal. That was kind of to your previous point. So if you are like a diehard X player, like fan, right? What's the worst faction right now based on the general opinion?
I mean, the popular opinion would say that Death Guard and Admech.
Okay, let's say you are a ride or die Death Guard player. Popular opinion says it's the worst fucking faction right now. And let's just say that's a fact. Let's go with it's a scientific fact. It is the worst faction in Warhammer 40k right now.
Uh-huh. If you're subreddit would agree with you.
Yeah. See, it's facts. Facts. Let's go with it. Like this hypothetical. It's factually been proven, can't be disputed. It's trash. If you're like, yeah, but this is bullshit because I can't beat Knights, I can't beat Eldar. And I'm like, what do you play? And you're like, I play Death Guard. I'm like, well, factually speaking, based on these charts, it's the worst faction in Warhammer 40k. Maybe you should try a different one. That would be my answer to you, Doug. If you're hitting me with that and that's your belief structure, you're like, but I can't do it with Death Guard. Like, I'm not even going to try to talk you into it. I'm not even going to try to talk you into like big brain scheming. I'm going to be like, then why not just like shift to something else? Like nobody just has one army, dude. Like take this as an opportunity at the forefront of a new edition to get something else off the ground. Like that.
Yeah. That could be a thing. I mean, I don't.
If your mind is in the gutter, at least, like you can't think outside of it. Like,
Nah.
So I think that argument is predicated on like if your goal is to win tournaments.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
And you're like, I have one army. It's World Eaters, for example, and it's like the only thing I want is to win tournaments, and World Eaters aren't going to get it done. Then like your option is get a faction that'll get it done. Otherwise, what I would tell people is like take what you love and find a way to have a good time at tournaments with it, because like winning the tournament isn't always on the table.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, I think those are thought processes. It depends on who you're talking to. It also depends on, what you're trying to achieve. But I think that, for me, a lot of people like myself, if you told me to play another army, I don't want to. I want to play Dark Angels, or I want to play Alpha Legion, or I want to play what I want to play. And it takes a unique like hype to want to start a new army. Like I got to really like catch a bug and be like, yeah, I want to play this army. But I think that defeatist mindset just perpetuates into more of a bad time in 40K. So like when it comes to our team, I try to not say that anyways, because I disagree. And I think that I have said it. It's really funny because one of my friends who's newer in the hobby just got into the game, and he's been super, super hyped on his Death Guard.
Yes.
Sending me pictures via text, bro. And he's been like, dude, check this out. I'm finally finishing these guys. Me and my like local homie are playing. The games are wild. He's racking into Eldar all the time, and my brain is like, I know how this is going to naturally evolve as you guys get better. It's going to lead one way, But at the same time, not really, because there's innovations that can be made, and also you can see them in top-level players, because I believe, you can probably Google it, I think there's a high-level guy in Australia who's that way with Death Guard. He just went undefeated with Death Guard, and he thought of some crazy concoction that was like it all worked around a PBC castle. It had triple PBCs with 40, and like it had that set up, and then he played on a Lord of Virulence that came in from Strat Reserve to remove cover. 40 killed all of the negative debuffs of indirect, and he would just frag the stuff that he wanted fragged. Then he had like a naked unit of cultists that had a very specific role to do some stuff, and his battle plan was A, secret, B, it was a very methodically thought out list into what, like we already said, the obvious problems, and this dude straight up Chad mode 6-0 to Death Guard, like, and everyone was like, what did you just do? So what I tell people, in this time is that, like, get creative, dude. Like, this is the time to just grab everything off the shelf, read all your data sheets, just throw that shit at the wall, dude. Who knows what works? Nobody knows this game that much right now. It's been out for a month and a half, dude.
Yeah, that was something we were saying for a while leading up to this. Like, my favorite time is Index 40K. It's the wild, it's the Wild West. And obviously, I agree with you. I don't advocate for like quitting on something that you love. Many people are like, the reason they got into this hobby is because of a love of a certain thing, right? Like, I love Dark Angels, or I love Space Wolves. I'm a fanatic for orcs, whatever it is. Like, that is like the artwork there inspired you into this mindset. And I would always advocate for you to try to make it work. And while we're playing Index Warhammer 40K, which is the Wild Wild West, meaning a lot of what you're doing right now is going to get restricted later, like this like unlimited style of play. Like, this is all just for entertainment, guys. This is entertainment value. Dollars per hour, son. Like,
this is not real Warhammer.
This is not, like, this is, like, I'm talking like I just did 12 Dreadnoughts, right? For my Blood Angels, Steven?
Yeah.
That was roughly 200 hours of hobbying to get them done.
That's awesome.
Right? And people are like, what if they had Legends, all of it, and you can't play it? I was like, nothing takes away my 200 hours of entertainment, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Literally nothing can take that from me.
Exactly. And,
like,
that's kind of, you're spot on, man. And I think that, I've kind of tried to say that inside of my team and stuff too. It's like, dudes, right now, there's some factual truths. The game is not balanced. The points are not fair. These changes don't make sense. We don't know what's on the horizon. All of that stuff is what it is. But what we do know is I know I've got some backlog. I know there's some units that I haven't been able to run forever, so now I can probably try them with some wild stuff, give some crazy looks, and just scheme. So I think that, we know codexes are due to drop soon. They're going to start the rollout, right? And then our game is going to really get reeled in. We also know that soon there's going to be a balance update, somewhere I think they said in the fall. So we know that true balance is going to be happening in a couple months, but it's not happening right now, the big takeaway is exactly what you said, where I think that most of you are in control of your own enjoyment of this and remembering why you're here in the first place. Cool. I want to win tournaments. That's awesome. I want to win games with my friends. That's awesome. But, and I even had a phase where I was like, what is this? The end times are here. Well, I could probably attest to it, dude. Yeah. I was like, I think he actually told me, shut up. Like, in my DMs, like, shut up.
If it was Wyatt, he probably said 2 choices, play or don't.
He was probably like, I don't remember. It was something along the lines of like, dude, you are being a real wuss. Stop. And you're actually kind of raining on my parade. And then I was like, you're right, my boy. So it kind of changed. I was like, what? Okay. I was like, why am I feeling this way? What am I doing? Okay. This is fun. It's not going to stay this way forever. And in this time, what can I do? And I why do I play this game? And it's just like you said, dude. I was like, dude, I started messing with other stuff and getting other stuff off the shelf and playing stuff I never get to play. And I think that I encourage my friends to do that too. And I just got a text from one of my guys today too. He was like, man, I'm so tired of everybody talking about how bad sisters are in the meta and how they're unplayable and everything's garbage and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm going to play just to spite these dudes. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yes, freaking do it. And you know what else, dude? Succeed. And then just look at them. That's kind of where I'm at. And it's a funny thing with Joel, because Joel played mids, and a lot of the guys in the mids. Discords that I participate in are calling them mids, and they're lukewarm, and you're never going to win anything, because I read all these different articles and meta watches and Reddit competitive or whatever, and they all agree and look at the tournament statistics, and then it's like, all that shit is a lie.
It's like,
look at this.
I won't name and shame him, but one of our guys was like, Toads are bad. Toads can't compete. The one game he lost at PSO was to Custodies.
Yeah, dude. So, I think that it's funny. And I guess the real thing on that is like, in these types of times, like, the metadata is something that's like, it's relative, right? It's relative. It's super important in a really stable game. I think it's less important in this state of the game and how it applies to each individual. You have to be cognizant of how it applies to you specifically. I don't read most of the meta articles. I don't watch faction tier list stuff because I don't care. And, I think, sometimes I feel like I'm all right at this game, and one of my favorite things is like, in spite of all of that, in spite of the masses, when you pull off some creative stuff and you just have such a good fundamental idea and a solid, logically driven list and you can execute, it's amazing. And I think in these times, like, I am really excited. I'll let the cat out of the bag. I just started grinding games with orcs right now because I'm about to walk. And I wouldn't have done this before, but Index Hammer kind of drove me to a spot where I felt lackluster about two of the armies I played. And to completely corroborate.
You took an opportunity to start something new?
Boom. I just corroborated you entirely.
It's almost like GW has to trick us sometimes and to stop being lazy.
Right?
Right? Like, we're like, I already painted these. I'm just going to try to make these work. Dog. Like, I sometimes need to be tricked into starting something I've always in the background wanted to start. And this is that fucking moment, man. I've already moved past Mount Dreadnoughts, dog. I schemed on those theoretically, and now I'm like, you know what I didn't do all at night, dog, when you guys were all playing Chaos, and I was like, I'm playing Blood Angels. I didn't get to play fucking 9th edition fucking Chaos. I missed an entire edition and Codex of Chaos for the first time in my fucking whole life, dude. So I'm like, going to Chaos.
Right. There you go.
Guess what? I don't have any Chaos models. I got to start over.
Right. There you go. Boom.
Anyway, you're working on orcs, and I think that's legendary, dude.
Dude, I'm about to walk. And I'm really excited about it.
You're gonna be one of those orc motherfuckers. Dude. They're the most frenzied, fanatical group of fans of any faction.
So much like
I've got a pretty ferocious wog. I'm gonna let it rip. And I love the goofy element that you can bring to orcs. And if you win and you're like that, it's really funny.
Yeah, like I don't currently have orcs, but orcs always have like a place in my heart because one, they're like designed to be the most preposterous element in all of 40k. Like, the more serious that 40k got over the years, the more insane orcs got with it. Just to, like, checks and balances. And like wacky, stupid hair metal 40k is like my favorite aspect of it, right? And so like orcs are never not fun. It doesn't matter the state of the game whatsoever. Orcs are always a fun faction to play. And then from a hobby perspective, most of the time, they're like a complete 180 departure than what you're used to. And so you can discover this whole other avenue of fun because, like, if you've only ever painted like Space Marines or you've only ever painted like Eldar and everything is like these bright colors that are clean and smooth and like they don't have a lot of bits everywhere.
Everything's got a seam line. Everything's got a panel line. Like everything's perfect.
Yeah. You go over to orcs and it's like teeth, big jacked muscles, cloth, t-shirts, leather, metal plates, rust, everything, like paint chipping. It's so much fun just to paint orcs.
None of that stuff's nice, man. And so you're right, dude. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to use color ranges that I don't normally use because most of the stuff that I'm painting is normally like power armor level stuff. I'm excited for the satirical element of the hobbying of the army, which is exciting. And to leap on that kind of I feel like the theme of this is like, improvising and rediscovering the stuff you love about the game in the midst of what some would consider like a black cloud. And if there's a storm cloud overhead, we're finding our fun stuff is I typically hate building stuff. I find it monotonous.
Yeah, it's the worst part of the hobby.
Oh my God. Like I some people love it. I'm not that dude. Like I have a cool artistic element. I love painting. I love that stuff. I love doing conversions, spending a lot of time on like individualized models, but I'm not the guy that just enjoys like tinkering and building with that mechanical aspect. But dude, I found a building joy that I haven't found in a long time also because I felt so disheartened on Space Marines because I was like, they're so ridiculous. I was like, I need to just reach all the way to the bottom of the bag and find out what's good. And I was looking around, the Beats Lab, to quote a good friend of mine, and I forgot I had a Thunderhawk kit that I had been putting off forever to build because I was like, dude, I'm going to have to do so much prep work. I'm going to have to do so much cleaning. I'm going to have to do so much like reshaping, pin drilling, and all this stuff. And I remember sitting there and I was like, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm starting this project. And dude, for like a week, I just like nerded out building this Thunderhawk. And it was like the most fun I've had building in a while. And I'm like, dude, I'm just going to show up. I'm not telling any of my friends I'm doing this. I'm building a Thunderhawk. It's longer than my forearm.
Dude, if my brother's listening to this podcast, he's going to be so fucking happy to hear that. He called me the other day, and he was like, dog, I think I can finally do the Thunderhawk list. And he's been fantasizing about doing a Thunderhawk list in Warhammer 40k for 10 years, dude.
Dude,
he quit. He doesn't. He didn't even play anymore. He like one day I was like, why do you even pretend to play 40k anymore, dude? Like you can't. He's like, you know what? You're right. That was like half a decade ago. Now he's like, dog, I'm coming back. Thunderhawk, I can do it. Dude, actualize my dreams.
And like, I'm not gonna lie, man. I watched a dude table Death Watch the other day with a Harridan, like the Forge World ginormous flying alien that is way too good right now because Index Hammer. But I'm like, dude, that's the kind of thing. Like, if this was competitive, like, and the edition was fleshed out like the end of 9th, and I know what's winning tournaments, you lost your mind if you think I'm gonna put a Thunderhawk on the table right now. I'm like, no. Like, dude, I'm going to win this event. I'm going to win this tournament. I'm going to win this major.
This is also, that's another interesting point. Like, dog, winning tournaments right now, like, it's just going to get harder from this point on.
And it's like,
this is like when your wacky, ridiculous shit that no one's ever heard of or been prepared for works right now.
Who knows, dude? Because you want to know why? Because nobody knows anything.
Nobody knows shit.
Dude. And I'm like, dude, you think that, like, how many times, every day, like 3 times, someone's like, yeah, but that does this. And they're like, no, it doesn't. Did you read the other ability? And they're like, no. You go down and you're like, yo, dude. And it's like, I'm like, nobody knows rules. Yeah. Nobody knows how to play this game.
Try crazy shit. Take like 13 Space Marine lieutenants with lone operative and just like play the mission. Like,
well, I mean, you could go as far off the deep end or as not as you want. Like,
no, real quick, we got to circle back. What are you thinking for orcs?
Orcs, okay. I'm only going to go into a little bit of depth here because I got some secret sauce, but essentially,
don't tell us any of your secrets. Just tell us like what does a good orc army look like to you?
I'm liking the lists that have a lot of saturation of inefficient targets. You're doing Eldar in a hobo orc way, so right, you got like Eldar's good because they have this super quality undercosted thing, right? I can field a lot of things that are
both mediocre and fucking undercosted.
Undercosted, yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, you got a Warwalker, right? And it's T7 with 6 wounds or whatever, but it's got a 4-up invuln, and it's -1 to hit at range, but not melee. And you've got 2 quality shots. I'm like, okay.
I've got 3 killicans.
I've got a truck with boys.
Truck with boys, nice.
And then I've got 7 more trucks with boys. Like, and if you don't kill them, and all 20 OC inside, I probably hold the objectives, and that. And I also messed with the list. I'm applying the stuff we talked about right now into what I want to do with orcs. I haven't actually settled on a list because one hobby dream I've always had is to do like the Orc Motorcycle Club, where I just want to do a bunch of funny orcs on war bikes, painted up sick. I want to do little like biker vests on them and just have them just like being complete degen orcs. And so I'm also messing around with a list that just goes with like bikes, knob bikes, a bunch of characters that you're just trying to launch into people, and then some other stuff to supplement scoring with that. And like because orcs have some wild units that are actually pretty good for various different reasons. At a glance, they're not good, but once you start putting it on the table and you kind of feel how everything works, that's what's up. So I'm messing with the bike list, and because everyone's like, who's looked at orc bikes? Like, whatever, but I'm like, dude, there's actually.
Bro, you're speaking my English.
Here.
In 4th edition, I had an orc army that was bikes and trucks.
So are you scared?
Bro, I fucking loved that army, dude. I actually had a squad of I had a squad of Deathcopters with buzzsaws.
Yeah.
I had 4 orc trucks. And
when was this?
This is 4th edition.
Dude, so they just came out.
They just came out, dude.
Just came out. I was like, yo.
And they had Scout and everything. And I literally had 2 max squads of just stock orc bikers.
Yeah.
That was like the fucking list, dog. I was like, played every weekend fucking at a different tournament, man. And fucking just people. I fucking had Eldar players frustratingly quit the game on turn 3.
Yeah.
Against my shit. Dude. Highlights. You know what I'm saying? Highlight reel my life.
Yeah, dude. And I'm just like, man, you can really put some pressure out there with orcs. Like, you can put pressure on hard in a few different ways. So I'm scheming on some stuff, messing a lot with a lot of the team stuff. But when I come to thinking about my list specifically, I'm thinking about what I want to do in the singles format, and like the bike list is singles format stuff. The truck list, I'm trying to gear in a singles format the way that I want to do it.
I love that. I love this truck list. It's intriguing.
Yeah,
and the idea of orc trucks being super tight.
And then I'm trying, dude. Well, I'm also kind of scheming on a list that. I was playing with different levels of transports and like knobs and transports and flash kits and transports and just different stuff. And I'm starting to kind of lean to like foot dudes too with strategic reserves because there's a lot less restrictions on that. I just like right now I'm just tapping into it, but there's a lot of stuff that works. So figuring out the special blend and like what you're like, for me, building a list is all about like the flow of the game and executing a battle plan start to finish in a game in order to get to score correctly. So like how that works with orcs, like you have a lot of ways to do it, and like what stuff stands up to certain durability. So I've just been running into my friends, a few of the guys on my team's Eldar, just over and over again, and getting proceedingly less destroyed, as we're going on. And then like to the last game, I'm like, dude, this has some wings. Like this could probably work. And so yeah, I've been messing with that. I'm also trying out my Thunderhawk list.
Dark Angels.
Yeah, you can do some funny stuff with that too. So with Dark Angels,
put your list out there so my brother can listen to the podcast.
So Dark Angels have that one land speeder that gives any Dark Angels unit at all that's within 6 inches of it -1 to hit via stealth and cover.
The Dark Shroud, or was that?
Yeah. And I'm like, when you deploy, you tuck that thing and been like back behind a ruin, right? And then you have your Thunderhawk. You can start it on the table. Maybe you don't. But I think if you reserve it, it's kind of restrictive because you can only put so much stuff in Deep Strike. And I feel like that list is going to be kind of like Galaga with the Thunderhawk, where you just delete stuff going side to side, and then you just kind of can drop in pressure. But you can Armor of Contempt a Thunderhawk because you can -1 AP any Marine.
Any unit, yeah. It's the unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you're essentially on a 1-up. Right, with a T12 30 wound model. Then you make it -1 to hit.
What's its stock save? Is it 3? It's 2 up stock save. Okay, yeah.
2 up stock, dude. So it goes to 1-up, and then you put that little thing behind it to kind of be a little homie and just roll with it, and it's chilling. So now you're giving this stupid thing -1 to hit. It essentially has a 0-up. It's taken 3 ups against last cannons, and then it has a dumb amount of guns. Like it is pretty dang good. It's like shooting. Tons of heavy bolters, like you just oath something and just obliterate and then get some bonus points, So I'm like, unless you're shooting like ridiculous amount, I mean, it's getting 4-ups naturally against like fire prisms. You know?
Yeah, unless you're dumping, devastating wounds into it or whatever.
Right. And I mean, like, also it outranges. I mean, the lowest range gun is 36.
36, yeah, it's heavy bolters.
So I mean, I don't know. So like, you're outranging D cannons. You're outranging a lot of stuff. You're not outranging fire prisms, maybe. But dude, if a fire prism doesn't drop you, you probably equalize 1 to 2 fire prisms back. And I don't know if I think to be tested. I haven't tested this, so don't take all of my stuff as like Steve said. It's exactly 100% true, but it was a lie. But like, this is just some stuff that I'm scheming on, But I don't think on standard dice, like reliably, I think dice turn 1 unless it's some ridiculous list. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And also, I mean, if you see a gun line across from you, then you just put it in reserves, and you go aircraft rules. But when you put that on the table, and then especially if you get the first volley, you can put some damage down. And then if you just keep the goal is protect the special target, and just keep blasting, So I think that can work. Stuff that can drop out, stuff that gets out of it at any point in its movement can charge. So you can put if you hover, you can put a bunch of Deathwing Knights or something 3x5 in it, and just rain them and then just get guaranteed charges into whatever you want.
Does it break deep strike rules? They can be closer than 9 or?
Well, it's a transport. It's not deep strike.
So God, they just disembark.
They just disembark and then walk and charge, or disembark and then charge. 'Cause anything that has deep strike natively can charge out of it.
Operation Dumbo Drop, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Fucking go.
You could drop bikes at it. So there's just
wild.
this is some ludicrous stuff that you can look at. And I'm like, is this going to win a major? No. But could I go win on RTT and have some serious fun doing it with my boys? Totally. I mean, maybe could you put together some crazy Ultramarines Astraeus lists and win a small GT? Probably. Yeah,
but not next year. You better do it now.
Yeah, right. So do it now. This is the time where all that stuff is out there. So I've been okay. And then I've got people a lot of the teammates and stuff throwing stuff up in chat being like, what about this list? And you're just seeing all these weird builds that are just huh? And I'm just all the games now against factions, I just don't, unless it's Eldar or GSC or Knights, I have no idea what your army does. I'm just running in blind, and it's and I'm cool with it. I'm let's just, nobody knows how to play this game. Nobody knows what anybody's army does. Let's learn together. Let's play, and it's been fun.
That's great, man. My brother's gonna be happy to hear that. He's gonna get back in Warhammer 40k and get a fucking Thunderhawk.
Play a Thunderhawk, man. That's awesome. Herodins, play Herodins. All the dudes are bringing out Knight Porphyrions. When the last time you saw a Knight Porphyrion? Never. It's never been viable. But some dudes were so hobby to
bro. I mean, just the fact that Forge Fiends are on the table now,
dude.
Isn't like a Warhammer Titan only 900 points?
I don't know, man. Yeah, there's a bunch. Dude, I'm telling you right now. Don't ask me questions because I don't know how to play the game. I don't know those rules. But do you get what I'm saying? Thumb through.
I've been waiting for a Forge Fiend to be playable since they launched.
Dude, I had one, and I just built it because I was really sick, and they're just never been good. Right now, they are disgusting.
I have fantasized about them being good. Made lists that I was I'll play this list, I swear. And then I'm it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, Warhound Titan's 1100. You can fit one in there.
When was the last time you could play a Warhound Titan actually? Never. Dude, Kenny, do you have a sweet Forge Fiend somewhere in that Beats Lab?
No, man, they haven't been good, and they have never been good. I don't own one, dude.
Comes at me like I'm ludicrous.
I mean, I've got 3. I've got 3 on order.
Oh dang!
I've got. Let me put it this way. I've already moved past the Blood Angels. I'll probably go and play them on Dice Check. Right
for the Blood Angels players out there, Bale Predators, dude.
Oh, I love yeah.
Dude, with Overwatch being what it is, that thing pops out. You put 3 of them in the midboard, dance around this, Eldar.
Yeah,
move your spiders in the midboard now.
Yeah,
it's like a strength 6, -2, flat 2 damage.
Bro, I have played Blood Angels in 5th, and I had triple ball predators. So I've already moved past the Blood Angels. I'll play them on camera maybe once, but I've already collected most of my Chaos things. So in this Beats Lab right now, there's a Lord of Skulls right there in a box. There's 10 Chaos Possessed over there.
Ooh.
There's a Land Raider in another box, Chaos Land Raider, coming in. Got
Dude, I just built my Alpha Legion Land Raider.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
When's the last time you play a Land Raider? I'm building all this backlog, dude. I'm painting some cool stuff up. I'm super hyped to start spraying some orcs.
Bro.
You know?
Bro, I'm like, and 3 Forge Fiends coming in. I'm finally fucking doing it. I'm like, the Mauler Fiend's been my spiritual chaos, like, kindred spirit since day one. And the Mauler and I remember one time I had a commission, and this is back in the day, and Bonet was like, do you need help? Like, trying to get caught up after we had to move. I was like, yeah, actually I need to build these 2 Mauler Fiends, right? So I gave it, she's like, I can do that. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah. So she went, she built it. She built it as a Forge Fiend.
Good for her. Smart woman.
Based on the kit. And I guess I forgot to mention that there's a different way to paint it. So she was like, she named it Monstroso. Like, that's like, it was like, so it's been like a joke in our house now for like 9 years. She's like, this is Monstroso, first of his name. And I was like, fuck, you built it wrong. And I had to just immediately start breaking them apart with fucking Uncure. So it was like,
but now you're about to do it.
The only time a Forge Fiend has been in my Beats lab was that time. Monstroso, first of his name.
Tonight's Monstroso rides, man.
He lived for like an afternoon, and then he was.
You better paint one up with like a little sign or something that says Monstroso on it.
I'll do it for her.
Tribute to Monet.
Funny.
Right?
That's
That's so funny, dude.
I got a Forge Fiend right here.
Yeah.
Just chilling on my desk.
Dude, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, you bought that one off of eBay, right? And then like spruced.
Yeah, it was eBay rescue.
Dude, I got destroyed by Forge Fiends at Palm Springs, man. I got like Chaos Space Marines right now is damaged central. Like,
just some DPS.
Yeah. God, dude. Like, I was playing this SKU list that I was kind of messing around with. It was kind of a hot. I wanted to test the Thunderhawk idea. Kind of brought it into my mind, but I hadn't ever played Deathwing Knights because they've always been too overcosted and bad, right? Well, they're okay with the native -1 damage right now, and I was like, dude, what happens if you just bring max of these dudes? So I just rolled up with triple Whirlwind, triple Deathwing Terminator stuff, the Deathwing Knights, and then 1 command squad, and I was like, nothing tabled my army until I got to round 5 with Chaos, and did I get tabled? Dude, it was like Forge Fiends can put it down, dude. It was like, okay.
Yep, 3 in my list. I want them.
Very good.
I'm a big fan.
They're savage.
Monstroso the first, Monstroso the second, Monstroso the third.
Monstroso Esquire.
Yep, that's right. Well, look, guys, if you're listening still on your drive to work, whatever it is, we're going to cash out here. We had Steven on dropping wisdom on us. I think I named this episode How I Learned to Stop Worrying About 10th Edition 40k.
I love that. Let's stop worrying about 10th Edition 40k and have fun, man, for a little while. Everything's going to level out in a little while once Codex start rolling
Ride that
out.
bomb all the way down.
Yeah, that's right. You know the reference. Normally I'd kick it to Wyatt, you'd kick it back to Rob, but we'll just remind you guys that we have a Patreon page. You can get to it by going to longword.net. Throw us some love, throw us some support, give us some beer money. Also, don't hesitate to check out XBZ on any social media platform, especially Discord. If you guys want to get good at 40K, these guys know how to get good at 40K.
We also have a website if you want to check us out too. We have xenospettingzoo.com. You can check us out there. It's a lot of cool stuff. The social media is plugged on there. You can kind of see what's going on, what's happening. You can also catch events and stuff that are popping up. So check it out.
xenospettingzoo.com.